Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call the special call meeting of the City Council of the City of Homestead to order. Today is Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, and the time is now 5:04 p.m. Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Davis.
Present.
Councilman Raw.
Here.
Councilman Cannibal. Here. Councilwoman Bailey. Here. Councilwoman Avila. Here. Vice Mayor Fletcher.
Here.
Mayor Losner.
Here. Thank you. Do we have a presentation tonight? Item 3? Is there a presentation?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. And our first order of business is car number 4684. Mr. White.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the city manager to accept proposal of H2M Architects and Engineers, Inc. for Whitcott Park Water Treatment Facility Project, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the project, authorizing the expenditure of grant funds, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Is there any objection to waiving the staff report on this item? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve? Moved by Councilman Roth. Do we have a second? Second by Vice Mayor Fletcher. Any questions or comments from council? Is there anyone online wishing to speak on this matter? I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak? So I will close the public hearing on this item and ask for a roll call vote.
Councilman Cannibal. Councilman Davis.
Yes.
Councilman Raw. Councilwoman Bailey. Councilwoman Avila. Vice Mayor Fletcher.
Yes.
Mayor Losner.
Yes.
The motion carried.
Moving right along to car number 4692. Mr. White?
Yes, resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, calling for the referendum regarding the issuance of general obligation bonds by the City of Homestead in the amount not to exceed $44,400,000 for the purpose of financing the cost and construction of park projects, and in the amount not to exceed $39,600,000 for the purpose of financing the cost of construction of roadway improvements, providing for a publication of notice of said referendum, providing for the adoption of representations, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, this item is brought before you today to finance the needed capital improvement in the city. If approved by you, the projected annual impact will be a debt service of approximately $5.281 million. And what does this mean? It means that property owners will pay approximately 87 cents for every $1,000 of taxable property values in the city. Also, we've attached with this package a list of projects that we think might properly be part of this, pending your review today, and perhaps whittle it down to what you prefer to be appropriate to take advantage of this municipal bond. I must caution that the bond is not intended to be procured in one shot. It's going to be sold in tranches based on subsequent resolution by council. Perhaps council may structure the sales of the bond in tranches of what can be manageable in terms of debt service. So currently the total amount is about $84 million, and $84 million is inclusive of 1.25% of the cost of issuance of the bond. So in reality, the actual bond is about $82.858 million, plus the additional 1.25% cost of issuance to make it a grand total of $84 million. We are willing to discuss the list of projects and get the guidance for council. The actual ballot, if approved today, is slated to go before the voters on November 4th, 2025 elections.
Right. And to clarify, this is set up in the form of two different ballot questions. Our people will have the opportunity to vote for yes or no on the parks provisions and yes or no on the roadway improvements.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
All right, well, I'd like to open up the discussion for council to get any of the input they may have on the inclusion or not of some of the specific projects that are in our materials here.
Mr. Mayor, just a minor clarification. I said that the cost per voter would be 87 cents per $1,000. That's in total. If you want to break it
full
down
funding.
further, it's going to be 45 cents per $1,000 of taxable value for the parks and 42 cents per $1,000 of taxable value for the roadway.
Very good. Thank you. Who would like to kick off the conversation as to the included projects, either as to roads or parks? Vice Mayor Fletcher.
Yeah, so actually, I did go through this list, and I think it's a very thorough list, but I know that we have some discussions that we need to probably take on other potential upgrades we're going to have to do at Harris Field once we move forward with the previous and relocate the rodeo. Some ideas that we have for reimaging that space, which could be quite large sums, but we could also maybe look at using some of those special monies that we're putting aside.
Correct.
To help off some of that cost.
And there's also an amount built into these numbers for major improvements around the entire park at Harris Field. So we're not unmindful of that at all. And certainly that's a huge opportunity in the future to reimagine that quite large space.
Yes, sir. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Davis?
Yes, sir. One issue that I had a question of is the old railroad tracks that go through District 1 and also my colleague's district as well. Is there a way for this to be used to clean up that area, to pull the old tracks off, perhaps even make it just improve the area, make it a walking park perhaps?
I will say, based on my understanding, there is a way for us to remove the rails from the roadway. I think it's safe to say that based upon conversations that the manager and I have had with the owners of that railroad parcel, that that's just not financially feasible. That's just not in the cards for a lease or purchase of the underlying land.
Okay, understood. But we could pull the rails and pull the ties out, correct? Because the ties are rotten as well.
On the rights of way only.
Okay.
Whoever controls that particular road, Campbell, 15th, Maury, we've been advised that the railroad has no objection to the removal of the tracks from the roadway. Then the question becomes, whose jurisdiction is a given roadway?
Yes, and where I'm also going, though, is not just the road intersections, which is a big issue, but also where the track lays heading north, I guess, through the two districts. So it's not intersecting a road at that point, but it is obstructing the community as it goes through.
It is, but
Mr. Mayor?
it doesn't seem that there is a path forward for our community to utilize that strip of land, whether it's cleared of tracks or not. Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir. So we've had extensive conversation with CSX, the owner of the right-of-way. They are open for the city to take responsibility cost-wise to take out the existing tracks at the intersection with public streets. The remainder of the right-of-way that belongs to CSX, they are actually preferring to sell. And the cost is so prohibitive that the county itself, the TPO that's part of this conversation, it's a three-way conversation, doesn't think it's a fair and proper price to pay for such a linear property. So what may have to happen just for public safety purpose of those intersections is that when we get to a comfortable level with the trust fund, we can look into intersection improvements with the trust fund, just for the intersections. And we'll continue to use code enforcement to guide them to continue to maintain the remainder of the corridor. That's step one. Step two is to also explore the possibility of dual use. See if they're willing to come back and rehab the tracks for commuter and cargo rail, as well as be a linear park, which they are open to explore the dual use approach. So for now, I think the most pressing issue is to see how we can do intersection improvements for now.
Aside, outside the bond proceeds.
Right, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Roth?
No, I got really nothing.
Okay. Councilwoman Bailey? Councilwoman Avila?
Thank you, Mayor. I think where I'm seeing some challenges with the proposal for the bond and for the projects, the projects are existing parks that obviously we need to source the funds to make these very important and needed repairs. But just doing the math, I'm trying to make sure I understand the math. So just looking up an estimated taxable value from or sample value from my district at 218,000 assessed value, not market value, assessed value. Would I multiply that by 0.87 cents? And if that's the case, just for the park side, that would equate to almost $92,000 divided by 30 years. And so that would be an additional payment to my tax roll. So I'm trying to make sure I understand the math. If we could use that if we could just use a sample assessment.
So may I? Ms. Mayor?
Thank you.
So
Yes.
based on the assessed value, which is the taxable value, is 87 cents per 1,000. So if the property assessed value is 218,000, it should be $218 times 87 cents.
Okay, thank you. Mini
Okay,
heart attack
yeah.
over on
No,
this side of
my math is, okay, 218 times 0.87 is 189.66 a year, assuming at the point at which the bond is fully funded.
Right,
And
so
yes.
So
that's-
I'm glad that
yeah.
we clarified
A year.
that. A year, and it's going to be super important that we do, and I know we will, and we've done it in the past
Mm-hmm.
for the other bonds that we've passed, that educational component, because it can get convoluted and confusing, and it's a very important item, and for that math to make sense to the layperson.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you all. I went through this list and kind of came up with the mindset that while parks are important, I think roads are more of a focus and an important issue for our community. And I think it's also fair to say that more folks are interested in the roads and use roads than they do parks. So from there, I jumped to the proposition that we probably should be sending a message of greater expenditures on roads than parks. What's before us now is the reverse of that. And, based upon my comments back when we were desirous and thinking that we were going to have to do our own funding of the former Homestead Sports Complex, the Homestead Regional Park, I was never a big fan of the big bricks and mortar rec center. Because it's one thing to build it, it's quite another to maintain it, staff it, and operate it. So here's that's the long walk. The short dock is, I'd like us to consider removing the $7 million rec center from Roscoe Warren Park, as well as the $1 million item for the South Dade Trail. In my conversations with the manager and his staff, there's thinking that is a relatively easy road toward grant funding rather than ask folks to fund that. So if we took the $8 million off, that makes roads funding greater and of a greater priority than parks funding. It maintains the $7 million for the rec center at Roby George, which is solely needed. Certainly with the up-and-coming East Side Park, I think we have some leeway there for your district, Councilman, to to ease that burden. It's a big difference to say, $44 million versus $37 million. It doesn't sound like nearly as much. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on removing at least those two items from the total. Yes, Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. I do agree that the perception should have more weight on the roadways. That I do agree with. The roadway improvements, can we roll in some of the sidewalk improvements and initiatives and maybe increase the bond amount for the infrastructure for roads and sidewalks?
Oh,
And I think I'm okay with the rec center being removed.
And I think to answer that question, I would go maybe to the manager and the attorney. We all know we have monies that are nearly guaranteed coming into the trust fund. At the very minimum, the fill money, and some of that's going toward some of our sorely needed wastewater issues. But can we define, roadways and infrastructures as curbing, gutters, fairly define that as curbing, gutters, and sidewalks as well? And really, developers need to be putting in the sidewalks.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, the way we define roadway expansion and improvements, once you expand a roadway, it presupposes you are addressing the curb and gutter and the sidewalks that goes with it. But if it's a stand-alone sidewalk improvements, like connectivity to schools, we can easily utilize the trust fund to address that.
Yeah, and I, to your point, I can appreciate where you're coming from. My goal is to lower the overall amount we're asking our voters to authorize to take out of their pockets every year.
I agree. I think the only thing I would have wanted to see maybe was some funding for a pocket park, but we haven't done any, like a pocket park on the east side, on the northern side closer to the Oasis and
Right.
Waterstone District. But that would require a lot more time, and maybe between now and realizing that we can find other sourcing. So,
Right. And
there's-
those are smaller expenditures. These are big ticket items for existing.
right. So as long as I
Folks see
have-
the existing.
Thank you. So if I have your commitment to work together on trying to bring a pocket park to District 5, then I'm happy to support those revisions.
Find the spot.
Thank you. Okay.
And I think there's still grants available, or there were at one time, to actually acquire land, which was kind of a new feature that we heard of.
Actually, Mr. Mayor and Council, the trust fund has provision for parkland acquisition.
Yes.
So you can actually tap into that trust fund for acquisition.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess implicit, Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. So regarding the education component of it, this average of 189.66 is basically going to be broken up to let the residents know this is how much it would be that we could improve the roadways.
Yeah.
Just to
Road
make sure.
improvements will cost you X at full indebtedness, and parks will cost you this amount. And just as a prior council did with the Seminole Theater and the police station bond issue, two separate questions, and the results are not going to track each other. Folks are going to think very differently. So this does give us the opportunity to not get a blanket no on the entire package. It gives voters some leeway and will send us a strong message one way or the other.
And the actual language of how it'll appear on the ballot, we're not 100% there yet, or?
But I believe the questions are in our packet, subject to the dollars change that we would make tonight on the parks budget, the parks bond issue. I mean, I'm sorry, the parks bond issue.
That's correct. That's correct. And also for clarification, Mr. City Attorney, I believe there is a maximum number of words that can be used in each question.
I wish we were able to put something in there that gave that average, because obviously 44 million for
Well-
somebody who didn't see or hear part of the education campaign.
We are allowed to conduct an education campaign, not an advocacy campaign.
No, I
Yeah.
understand. I just mean in the actual language on the ballot, if that was.
We're limited by words.
Right.
statutory limits.
That's all I have. Thank you.
So I ask then for a motion to approve this item, subject to the reduction of $8 million to the amount of the Parks bond. Moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by Councilman Cannonball. Is there anyone online wishing to speak on this matter? Is there anyone in the audience? Okay, I will close the public hearing on this momentous occasion and ask for a roll call vote.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Cannonball? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Lawson?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Very good. Thank you. Get back to my cheat sheet here. All right, I guess our next item appears to be car number 4689. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Mayor. It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the city manager to make an offer and execute a purchase and sale agreement for the property located at 406 Washington Avenue, Homestead, Florida, identified as folio number 107918-003-0430, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, are you going to take this on or have our CRA director?
I will have the CRA director, sir.
Mr. Beck, spotlight's on you.
Good evening. Council, as you know, we have been monitoring properties as they come for sale within and around the CRA, as well as within and around the downtown area. We're choosing to bring this one to you all tonight because this is the first property we've seen in some time that has come on the market within the core downtown area. It was therefore also a property that was included in the vision that you established in the downtown charrette process. It's one of the more visible buildings located within our downtown area, and there is a better, longer-term use for this property than an auto service center. That said, we've learned over the last couple of weeks that there's a very high demand for auto service centers. We understand that there's also a real interest then in the market on this, and anticipate if this property is sold to private entities, this will likely be the type of use that we have, or the exact use we have for many, many years to come. Conversely, with that demand, there also comes a cost, and the prices of these related facilities is certainly showing that. There is an asking price on this property of $2.895 million. We did request an expedited appraisal of this property that came in at $2.833 million, and that was based on 5 comparable auto service facilities within Miami-Dade County. There were also 4 commercial properties that were evaluated, sold within the Homestead area. All of that being said, beyond the sales price, we would want council to know and be thinking on, there would be additional costs in the future if you did choose to acquire this property. Those costs would include clearing, demolishing and clearing the building. We anticipate there would be some future remediation that would be needed with that, and that at a point in which you did go out for redevelopment, we would need to recognize that to a developer, there's a difference in the land value at the time versus what we have spent on it. So there's a certain investment we're making in what that future vision is. Again, though, we wanted to bring this to you, knowing that it's on the market. It is a visible location. We did not want to find ourselves in a place where it got sold, and then you asked us, why didn't you bring this to us? So this is really something that we're seeking your direction and discussion on. I want to be clear also as it relates specific to the resolution. We know that there is an offer on this property and it will be moving. We wrote the resolution and the car item as it is, such that if you do choose that you want to proceed with this, this is the way that allows the manager to move effectively and efficiently time-wise through this process. So with that being said, there's a couple directions you can go on this through your discussion. If you do choose that you want to pursue the potential acquisition of this property, we would be asking from you for a maximum price that you would want, any particular conditions that you would want associated with this. I'll certainly defer to the manager, but I imagine that we would also be seeking a council liaison to be a part of these conversations, or you can choose to not proceed and we can end it there. So with that, what I'd like to do is defer to the manager if there are any other comments he would like to add before we enter discussion.
No additional comments.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mr. Beck. I'll open it up for council questions or comments. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. I definitely agree. This is a really important location for us to consider. I did want to get clarification. I see that the description in the book did not change on the square footage. Could you clarify that again?
Sure, I can. The question that we had on that was a discrepancy in the square footage and the price per square footage. The square footage that was slightly less than 5,000 square feet, Councilwoman, that came out of the LoopNet appraisal. And you'll see that the dollar value that they had associated with that is what translated into the asking price. When we did go through the actual prospectus that was provided by the broker on this and also went back to the property appraiser, what we had discussed in terms of the appraisal number, the 7,000 some odd was the actual number.
Okay, thank you. And then could you clarify what the interim use would be should we acquire the property between now and the future development? The idea would be to rent it as is in its current use, correct?
That would be for you to decide. Certainly, we'd want to defer to you on that. That would be a consideration, though. It is effectively a turnkey. There's a potential that there could be a leaseback or some other type of situation, but that is only a discussion right now.
Thank you. I think it's imperative that we, really consider the importance of acquiring this property, and I want to thank the property owner for giving us the opportunity to get to the negotiation table. So I'll rest there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Yes, Councilwoman Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor. That was going to be my question. I wasn't sure if, so Goodyear is not the owner.
The owner of the property is selling it. As I understand, the owner of the property is also the operator. So they are selling this.
So Goodyear would not be interested in renting it.
The owner would not. I understand that there has been discussion on perhaps an employee ownership entity or an employee model that may take that on. But to be perfectly fair, we've not even gotten into those conversations at this point. We've really just wanted to look at the property, its value, and really seek your direction on it.
No, I think it's a wonderful location for the city to have a little more control over seeing what happens, but obviously for it not to become an eyesore or abandoned. So no, if we can find a user that could use it as obviously the same type of use in the meantime, that would be great. But I think it's a great find if we're able to do it. I say we should. Thank you.
To clarify, if I might, Councilwoman Bailey, it's my understanding that there is an interest, whether it be by the current owners or whether their manager buys it, a desire to immediately do a lease back for a period of time, if it can be negotiated, pending our determination of whatever reuse that may be. So I don't think there's a thought that it would be an empty derelict building or storefront. Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. So when they brought this to me, I almost fell out of my chair laughing. We just sold city property on US 1, 2.4 so acres for about $2 million. And now you're asking us to buy 16,000 square feet for more than what we sold city-owned land on a much better location than we got from that property. So I have a huge problem absorbing 16,000 square feet when we also have the marketplace that sits vacant that we've spent nearly $5 million on to purchase and control. Those are my thoughts for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yes, thank you. So initially I looked at it and I got like sticker shock, $588 a square feet, but I wasn't actually looking at the total land. I was looking at just the building at that point. I think it's a piece of property that would be beneficial to us to own long-term. Price, the evaluation that came back, which was dated, 3 days ago?
August 1st.
Pretty thorough evaluation on the property. to include, some others that have been purchased throughout the county. So I think it's an opportunity. I do understand Councilman Ross' concern in regards to that one property, but I think this one's going to have the most impact, especially if we go down to the route of the charrette and long-term redevelopment of downtown. I really think this is a key corner to have. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Kind of comparing and, hindsight's always 20/20. I think we really missed the boat on Palms Plaza under prior management, the property to the immediate east of this. This allows us to control our destiny. And when I look at what other developed commercial properties in and around Homestead are selling for, when I look at what the old bank building sold for that we were looking at for a police substation, those of us who have been here a long time look at that and say, man, that's a lot of money. And compared to vacant property it is, but I think there's some real value in allowing us to help control. And my thought is while the prior operator and these current operators who have been in place for a number of years have operated a very reputable, clean, and pretty aesthetically pleasing operation, that is not to say that the next tire and auto store will be of that same caliber. And is that something we really want long-term, that kind of use? And no disrespect to the last two operators there, but is that really something that belongs at that location in the future of Homestead? Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the way that I rationalize it in my head, because the sticker shock was there, and that's why we spent a lot of time in our briefings about the square footage and how does this make sense on the dollar per square foot. But there is a price tag to the buying out of the control and the use of another owner. So that's where I'm at on that. And the reason why I was also asking about the rental is that, we can hopefully immediately start to recoup some of that overcharge that we are paying. So we would be potentially paying more than what we have in the past, but that's how I reasoned it. Thank you.
Well, it'll be until such time as we bring in, a new use, reasonably be the same caliber there. I think the resolution is open, and, with the knowledge that an offer is on the table by a tire and auto store for the full asking price, with a due diligence period to negotiate rent, to take into account that we are not bringing a broker to the deal. I think that, to make this happen, we can authorize the manager, would ask that someone make a motion to authorize the manager to make an offer not to exceed the $2,895,000. We have a due diligence period, and those numbers can be massaged, or we may make the decision that there's not a deal to be had and walk away. The ball's in our court for a change.
I would suggest that we just really try to get the best deal possible, of course, and maybe during the due diligence try to ask for some considerations on what it would cost to mitigate and whatnot. So
I see that's where that would go.
Maybe they'll just give us a friendly discount. Who knows?
They just might.
Thank you.
And look, they didn't need, to their credit, I think they would prefer for the city to have it. They're committed to the long-term viability and improvement. And if they weren't, they would not be delaying the acceptance of the offer that's on the table for a continuation of that type of use under out-of-town ownership. Mr. Mayor? Clemente, did you have? Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll move it.
Move to authorize not to exceed $2,895,000. We have a second. Oh, okay, second by Councilman Cannibal. So let me open the public hearing and see if there are any public comments first online.
Yes, sir. Ram is
Okay, Ram, go ahead. We can't hear you if you're speaking.
You need to unmute yourself.
Hello, Mayor. Actually, I had a couple of questions from the prior tab, But
Okay,
since
well,
we're
let's address
on-
this
on-
first, if you have something here, and then we'll go back to that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yes. What I wanted to ask is, what funds are we utilizing to purchase this property, if we do purchase the property? And are we in the business of flipping property? Because it seems like we're just buying this just to knock it down and flood it again. And then why are we focusing on buying a Goodyear building when there's a substation that's been there for almost 5 years now, and we can't even get the big clientele businesses that we've been promised for the past 5 years? So what exactly do we have planned for this location? And I wanted to ask Dr. Ziri, why wasn't this on your Facebook page as a tab? This was the only tab that was left out. I'm sure people wanted to see this. And why was it left out? Because I'm sure more people would have come to ask more questions.
City Clerk, is this not part of the published package?
Yes, sir.
Yes, but we had to dig. But on your Facebook, this is the only tab that you didn't add. Why is that?
What Facebook? I don't have a Facebook. Are you meaning the City of Homestead
No.
Facebook?
Why would I say your Facebook, Dr. Zuri? Come on. Stop patronizing me. Why wasn't on your City of Homestead Facebook? This was the only tab that was left out. It seems shady. So I just want to those questions asked, please, or answered.
I will check with staff. I don't have direct control of what is put out there.
I think typically, from my perception, on our social media, on Facebook, we hit highlights of a council meeting and committee of the whole meetings and so forth, but I don't think we necessarily include everything. That would be on through our website, through the clerk's page for the official. Is that fair? And Ram, our public information officer, is nodding in agreement that typically, that is not something that's done through our public information office, just to hit some high points to pique people's interest. Facebook, those posts are not intended or ever going to be fully encompassing of a meeting agenda.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. And do you mind if I ask the question from the other tab, or do you want to move on and then come back to me?
Are you finished with this item?
Well, no one answered the question.
Which question?
That I asked.
What question was that? Where's the
prior
money coming from?
Yes, where's the money coming from? Why are we in the business of, I'm assuming, flipping property? Because it seems to me like we don't even have a business entity who's going to take over this rental once it's sold. We're just, hoping that someone does. But if it doesn't, it's going to be vacant there, and then it's going to be another substation in downtown Homestead that have empty suites.
But you're talking about Homestead Station, but you're saying substation.
Right, no, yeah, the Homestead Station where the theater's at and the bowling alley is at, and all the other empty suites there for the past, now it's going on 6 years.
Well, again, I'll answer you this way. Stay tuned for that. That is under new ownership. People who know Homestead, who are bullish on Homestead, who are here for the long term. And I think you'll be very pleased with what they are going to be bringing forward and announcing as a build out and a filling of that location.
I'm looking forward to that. But okay, now the other question: what funds are we using to purchase this property if we do buy it?
Well, I'll defer to the manager on that. And again, I think that's part of the due diligence, and he'll have to come back to us at contract and talk about that.
Okay,
that's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard the manager, but Ram, I talked about that's something that will be disclosed and determined during our due diligence period. This may be a CRA project. It may be a City of Homestead project, and the funds will be identified, and that will be part of the approval of the contract when the manager comes back to us and identifies the funding source. This is just to authorize negotiations.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I'll give you some leeway to go back. You had a question on the bond issue?
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that. If I heard correctly, you guys were utilizing the average price of 189,000.
No, the example that the councilwoman used from her particular district was an average taxable value, not sale price, not fair market value, but taxable value.
Okay, so what's the average for the city of Homestead as a whole? What's the median? Because 189, maybe that was the case back in 2006, but right now, I mean, I don't know if you see these pre-constructions over here in Keysgate, we're looking at 400, 500 grand.
Inexplicably, there are so many older homes that enjoy significant exclusions from taxable value, particularly in, Northwest Homestead and down in the villages and the older neighborhoods, that our average taxable value of a residence is 180 fair, Mr. Manager? I know we've had the numbers in the budget process.
I think the number is close to $177,000.
$177,000 citywide.
From the property appraisal.
Right, but my concern, he said he thinks. He's not from here.
No.
So what's the actual
he's
price?
thumbing through his notes having to do with budget
Mayor,
determination.
So I'm looking at the July 1st, 2025 release from the property appraisal of Miami-Dade County, published on the website. City of Homestead, average taxable value is $171,317.
$171,317 as determined and published by the Miami-Dade property appraiser or tax collector?
The property appraisal.
Property appraiser on July 1st of this year.
All right, excellent. Can you please share what zip codes that they use for that?
City of Homestead.
So it's 33030 and 33035.
No, you can't do by zip code. You have to do it by folio number that starts with the digits 10. Zip code. The City of Homestead has no exclusive zip code. We had that conversation earlier today. You can't establish homestead values by solely looking to zip code.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm looking forward to this lower tax value that you're utilizing because I hope I see that on my taxes this year.
Well, we're talking about
what
average.
I'm seeing.
We're talking about average.
Okay, average. Oh.
It all depends what
good,
you
man.
paid and when you bought it. Does that conclude your questions?
Right. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ram. Have a good night. Okay, I think, is there anyone further? Anyone in the audience or anyone online wishing to speak on the authorization to have the manager negotiate a contract for the purchase of 406 Washington Avenue? So I'll close the public hearing. Councilman Roth, any further? Yes. Who? Brandy Ramirez? Yes, Ms. Ramirez?
Hi, good afternoon. Brandy Ramirez, 2231 Southeast First Street. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank Mr. Larry Roth for saying no. I believe the other council people should also say no so they have time to see where the funds are going to be utilized from. It's really tight time for the city, reference reserves being used, so I think they should take either a pause or defer on this. But thank you for the time and wishing everyone a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone further? Okay, I will close the public hearing. Any final comments, Councilman? You've said your piece. Said your piece. Okay. Madam Clerk, let's have a roll call vote on this item.
Councilman Roth? No. Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Cannonball?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, thank you. Moving on, this is a second reading. Car number 4674, amending the Parks and Roadway Trust Fund to include water and sewer infrastructure improvements. Mr. White.
Yes, Mayor. This is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending Section 2-553, Use of Trust Funds of Division 6, Parks and Roadway Trust Fund of Article 4, Finance, and Chapter 2, Administration of the City Code of Ordinances to add water and sewer infrastructure improvements as a use of trust fund monies, providing for conflict, severability, inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. Second and final reading.
Thank you. This is a second reading. Are there any final questions or comments from council? Moved by Councilman Roth. Second by Councilman Cannibal. Let's quickly open the public hearing, see if anyone would like to weigh in on this. Is there anyone online? No one appears in the audience. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a roll call vote.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Cannibal? Yes. Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. And moving on to tab 5 for discussion. Our number 4691, a proposed repayment schedule for underpayment by the Homestead Miami Speedway. Mr. Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, the administration is seeking direction from Council on a reported underpayment of the rent at the Speedway. We've met, I believe, a couple of more times with the Speedway leadership, and based on mutual understanding, this repayment plan is being proffered to Council for consideration. The details outlined in the attachment letter from the Speedway. Mr. Guillermo Santa Cruz is here tonight to answer any of your questions. He's proposing to start making quarterly payments starting from third quarter of 2025 for the correct adjusted amount. While starting from first quarter of 2026, he starts making additional payments for the entire 2026 of $15,808. Then, subsequent to 2026, starting in first quarter of 2027 up until 2030, making additional payments of $23,700 in addition to the adjusted correct values of the quarterly payments. So staff is presenting this tonight while asking for your guidance and direction.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Santa Cruz, any presentation? Okay, thank you for coming. Council, any questions or comments on this item? Councilwoman Avila.
Thank you to staff for finding the pennies in the couch cushions. Thank you to Mr. Santa Cruz for working with our finance department to make this to make us whole as quickly as possible. I do appreciate council considering the payment plan. I think I'm in agreement with it. We have a good working relationship. We obviously are invested heavily in the success of the track, and thank you for bringing the championship back. All right, I'll rest there.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other comments? We have a motion and a second. I have a comment. I cannot support this. This is unconscionable. This does not propose to begin repaying the back rent until 2027. We're catching up on the new amounts, but going forward, they are asking us to recapture payments that have accumulated since 2019 through now, with no interest going forward starting in 2027. We're talking about a 12-year payout for amounts that were due annually. Yes.
Then I'm confused by the bullet point, the third bullet point, where it says quarterly payments made at current rate, plus the additional quarterly payments of $15,808, which I'm understanding is part of the back pay. So can I get clarification on what's going on?
That's not how I understood it.
That's correct. They are proposing to, starting from first quarter of next 2026, to start making additional quarterly payments of $15,000, which will be in addition to the adjusted pay rates.
And I also thought that this was kind of vouched for already by your office, so
But
please help.
No. I view this as peanuts. They're putting on a championship and are $500,000 in arrears. We can have all the great personal and partnership relationships, Business is business. I'm not asking or suggesting that they should pay everything right now, but 6 years into the future for me is unacceptable. If we do this, I'd like us to obtain some estoppel from our tenant that we as a landlord are not in default currently of any of our obligations. I really fail. I know you're the messenger, Mr. Santa Cruz. You take your marching orders from Daytona. This is not personal. Yeah, this is business. But this is what you offered in a private meeting with the manager and the finance director and I. And I thought if you went away with the message that this was not sufficient, that message was not received at the other end. I know there's a lot of sympathy and affinity for the folks at Homestead Miami Speedway, and if you choose to do that, for me, I can't support it. It is a breach of my fiduciary duty to the taxpayers of this city. That arrearage could buy a new garbage truck. And again, I'm not asking for a lump sum. I think this is really a pittance in the big scheme of things for what the extremely discounted amount of rent by contract, I'll agree, that's already paid. It's really a stick in the eye. For me, you can tell your bosses it's a stick in the eye for me. Certainly. And I don't want to hear you're bringing a championship. That has no bearing on this business matter. This is mic on. Let's make sure your mic's on. Hang on. We got to turn your mic on. We can't afford a real remote one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this proposal came about from our meetings that we had. Certainly, they're in line with the communication that we had at the time. This underpayment resulted from an underbilling. It wasn't as if we haven't paid every penny that has been billed to us over the years. This was a matter that was brought to our attention a few months ago. We worked diligently with the city, with the city manager, in a spirit of partnership and in a spirit of doing what's best for the city of Homestead, which has been my commitment from the moment that I got to Homestead in July of last year. So if this isn't aligned with the conversation as you thought that it had been discussed, then that's a surprise to me. Because what we presented, why would we present something to you that we didn't think was aligned with the conversation? So that is not the spirit of the way that we work, and certainly not the way that I work. You alluded to my bosses in Daytona. Well, my bosses in Daytona actually are very responsive to me. As you are well aware, the relationship between the track and the city, the chief, everybody else that we work with has evolved dramatically over the last year. And the conversations with Daytona are really more from Homestead to Daytona than from Daytona to Homestead. So the spirit is to work together. And this proposal is made in that spirit. We are repaying, we already adjusted the quarterly payment. We will continue to increase the payments for next year and the following years. As you know, as the city manager knows, this is not money that we have in the budget. So we are presenting to you what we think is a very reasonable offer and something that allows us to pay you the money that we were underbilled for, with all due respect, in a way that is fair to us and to the work that we are doing. And that is all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I have two parties to be fair to, you and my taxpayers. You represent one. I have to deal with two. That's where I come from, okay?
I understand.
Okay. Yes, Councilman Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. The timeline. Obviously, I'm not real thrilled with the timeline either. Is there a moment that we can take him back and negotiate again and see if we can speed the arrearages up so that they're not paid at the back end, that they're paid more in the front end?
Mr. Santa
Or in a
Cruz
collapse time frame.
Mr. Santa Cruz is right before you here. Mr. Cruz, are you open to reduction in the timeline so that it becomes an administrative process of subdividing it?
We are open to any conversation. I would like to point out, I am here with nobody else. There's no lobbyist, there's no lawyer, there's nobody. It's just me. So my presence here today was really to witness that conversation, wasn't really to engage with you as I am doing right now. If not, there's other people who support us in that regard. But as always, we're open to conversation. That hasn't changed.
Mayor, can I
Yes.
motion to defer the item to a date certain, and then we can enter into more negotiations?
Well, let's bring it back to a time certain at the September CAL, whatever date that is.
I believe the first meeting in September is September 9th, Madam Clerk. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Your motion. Well, first, I guess we need to I believe there's a motion and a second on the table. So, okay, so Councilwoman Bailey is withdrawing her motion. Did you second? I did second. Do you accept that withdrawal? I guess I have to. Okay. And I think you had your finger on the button. You look like you got a comment.
And I want to thank Mr. Santa Cruz for coming tonight. Again, I go back and look at this let's look at this from a vendor's perspective. We sent them a bill, they paid the bill. The error was on our end, sending them the bill with the right amount. Look at it one way or the other, there's a difference in monies at the end of the month or the end of the quarter. We found this amount of money that was sitting there, and I think it's hard to push anybody to come up with $500,000 on the spot. I believe that they've given us a full faith repayment plan here, $62,000 for next year total, and then $93,000 per year after that for the next 3 years. They're giving us that money back. We're going to take that money and put it into an account which is going to gain interest. Yes, we're going to lose some interest off of some of the other things, but ultimately, I think this is the right way to go. But looks
Very
like
good.
I'm going to be outnumbered on that tonight, so we'll go from there.
Hey, we may very well come back to this deal on September 9th.
Very well.
Okay, so, the prior motion was withdrawn. Councilwoman Avila has moved to defer this item to a date certain.
Yeah, just bring the payoff a
of
little
September,
sooner. Mhm.
of September 9th. And do we have a second? A second by Councilman Davis. I hope there's some leeway. If not, maybe, you get what you've asked for tonight. So let's have a roll call on the motion to defer.
Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Ross? Yes. Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Cannonball? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Vice Mayor Fletcher?
No.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You going to be around after the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you. Okay, there is nothing further.
Mayor,
Yes,
before you adjourn, I just need to request some executive sessions.
make it happen.
I need to request an executive session in two matters. The first is Arthur Knight versus City of Homestead, case number 24002143, CA01 in Miami-Dade County Circuit Court. The second is Michael Yan v. City of Homestead, case number 24001250, CA-01 in Miami-Dade County Circuit Court.
Make it so. Maybe prior to the CAL. Well, how time sensitive is this?
I think as soon as we can get it done.
Okay. Well, that would be early next week or after next week. I think some of us will be away at the League of Cities.
We'll coordinate with
Yeah.
the clerk.
Okay. Mr. Manager, anything further?
Just one quick one. I just want to use the opportunity to extend a special recognition to somebody that is very, very key in the delivery of municipal services in the City of Homestead, Ms. Barbara Quinones. She's the director of the city's energy department. She recently completed 6 years as the chairperson of the Florida Municipal Power Agency, which is a statewide entity. She has represented the city of Homestead on the board for more than 15 years. And she was elected vice chair in 2014, and she has served for 5 years before being elected as chair in 2019. Barbara has been recognized as a leader and a stakeholder by her peers. And on behalf of the City of Homestead administration, I want to congratulate you, Barbara, for completing such an extensive and impressive tenure as chairperson of the board of directors, and thanking you for your contributions to the industry. Thank you, Ms. Smith, Barbara.
I shared with the manager that I observed, and I think Vice Mayor did as well, at the Florida Municipal Electric Conference a couple weeks ago, that Barbara's a rock star when she walks through the halls. People are lined up to talk to her, pick her brain, compliment her, pick her brain some more. So very held in very high regard statewide. We're very fortunate to have her with us. Anything further, council members? Motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.